rent your apartment sends money to the lock, more accurately a deposit, and then once they're done using the apartment, they leave, and they get the deposit back minus the rental fee. So that would be a use case for Ethereum and smart contracts and devices, the Internet of Things. You got to think, yeah, it cuts out Airbnb. And if you've looked at Airbnb's headquarters in San Francisco, it's this $1 million building. It's beautiful. I mean, they take their middleman fee for sure. I mean, could those middleman fees be more equitably distributed to other users throughout the network? I think so. So you have things like smart locks, smart lights, smart sensors. Okay, you can write a smart contract to turn on your lights when 20 minutes before you come home, something like that. And it allows for a decentralized sharing economy. Okay. Another example, Ethereum plus smart contracts plus oracles. You get a decentralized prediction market. So an oracle is essentially, it's just a source of information. It's a trusted source of information, like a newsfeed from a news source, from Reuters, for example. So decentralized prediction market. An interesting use case is Augur, which is a decentralized prediction market. You can bet on the outcome of any event, and it's the most accurate future forecasting. And why this is important is that when you ask people's opinion, they might give you an answer, but that opinion might not be well informed. However, if you ask people to put their money where their mouth is by buying shares in yes or shares in no, then you have to assume, since they have a financial incentive to be right, they will put more thought and more research into their answers. So this is why decentralized prediction market tends to be the most accurate future forecasting. So for example, you can sell your information to be used in a prediction market. Who will win the 2016 presidential election? It's a good question, right? Yeah, no one knows. Hopefully it's not the guy with the funny hair, right? So the way you could use this is that a smart sensor could count the number of people going to district polling centers. A smart contract compares this data with historical Republican or Democratic districts. You could publish that data to the blockchain or encrypt that data for sale to private oracles, and then the prediction market resolves. So prior to the outcome of the election, the current share price is the best, most accurate prediction of who will win. So a real-world example, InTrade, which was a centralized prediction market, correctly predicted 48 out of 50 states' election results in 2012. Okay, through the use of a prediction market. So, and the power of Augur is that it's decentralized, so that, I mean, InTrade was eventually shut down because it was too accurate. People were using it to forecast the future too well, and regulators didn't like that in the States, so they shut that down. But Augur is decentralized on Ethereum, and can't shut it down. One more example, Ethereum smart contracts and biometrics, self-sovereign identity versus Facebook, which is what we have now. So biometrics, something that allows you to identify yourself as a real person and link that to your digital identity. So this is a Ubuntu phone. Consensus, which is that Microsoft partner firm, is partnering with the makers of Ubuntu phone to try to create this self-sovereign identity system called Uport, which allows you to control 100% the use of your identification online. Versus Facebook that collects your information and sells it and for their own gain, which is what we signed up for, sure, but that's not really optimal, because people should be in control 100% of their own identities, and especially the monetization of their own identity, I believe. So you can link meat space actors to digital people on the blockchain. So you can do things like birth certificates, know your customer. You can do things like reputation systems. And interestingly, you can do digital mapping of social structures. So you can see where people are and how they interact. And there are also humanitarian and identity theft applications. You know, people who don't have documentation, you know, refugees can get identification on the blockchain. And supranational identity, you have an identity that is you, that goes beyond any nation state. And it allows for next generation sharing and attention economy. Because you're able to link who you are to your actions online. And because you have self-sovereign identity, the actions that you do on the network, such as publishing content, you're able to then monetize your content. You know, people, right now, if people like your video, you might not get paid for that, but it's possible with Ethereum. Okay. So we have smart contracts, and what I'm really excited about Ethereum is because of the synergies involved. So smart contracts allows for things like companies like Slockit, which can work with decentralized prediction markets to create information or a sharing economy. You have centralized server architecture, which is what we currently have, to a more decentralized model in B. You cut out the middleman, you disintermediate them, and pave the way for Web 3.0. And all this is possible on Ethereum. So, some key synergies on Ethereum, key considerations. So just like different programs on a computer can increase productivity and value, so too different dApps, or decentralized applications, on the Ethereum world computer. As we said, it's a generalized platform for marketplaces where individuals can adopt various roles and freely participate in economic interactions. Zero infrastructure and open source means rapid iteration and development and meme-like spread. So survival of the fittest dApps and developers. Zero infrastructure means that anybody who knows how to code can deploy dApps. And open source means that if it works, it will be rapidly copied and improved upon. So you have the incentive to constantly improve. So, low to zero switching costs for users. Since Ethereum is a generalized platform, users will be able to switch from one application to another basically without friction. So your dApp better be good, otherwise they'll find another one. Infrastructure, security, identities, payments, execution, enforcement is all built into the Ethereum network. So all of these considerations that were major considerations in the past, Ethereum network handles that. And one thing to consider here is that there's huge or unlimited upside for first movers and people who develop that killer dApp on Ethereum. And your downside is really only limited to developer time, building dApps, learning the language, coding, things like that. Okay? So putting it all together for Portugal. So this is a chart from the World Economic Forum. Portugal's global ranking in 2015. Very good in higher education and training and internet users, and capacity for innovation is also very high. So this is good for blockchain acceptance. You have a lot of internet users and a lot of innovators here. So it's fertile territory, fertile ground for this. There's high disintermediation potential in public institutions, and especially banking. If you look at the soundness of the banks, 120 out of 140. Not very good. Okay. Huge disintermediation potential in banking. You can make the banking system a lot better with blockchain. You can streamline taxation. You can make finances less of a nightmare for everyone. And other use cases not yet conceived, which is the most exciting thing, is that it's such a new technology. The potential use cases out there have not even been thought of yet. very much. So, questions?
So what's your experience with the tech? Probably you already talked about it.
Oh, my experience with the technology. Yeah, I've been interested in blockchain technology. Been doing research since 2013, and I got into Ethereum basically when the white paper came out, and I've been studying the technology ever since. And as they've been releasing proof of concepts, been playing around with the technology a little bit. Yeah.
Do you have any plan for to build a company or start a new business?
Really in the planning and research stage. Probably one of the things that I was thinking to do is to get a group together and do a lot of brainstorming and research for that end.
But you are in Portugal since when?
Since 2011.
So,
Yeah.
we already speak Portuguese.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah. Yeah, I'm more comfortable in English giving a presentation. Yeah. Okay.
Good. So, but are you working right now in some blockchain/Ethereum project, or just like an enthusiast?
Not now, just an enthusiast.
So,
yeah. But we're looking to get into the area. Yeah.
Okay. So, what are the goals for the meetup? Like, this is the first event.
Yeah.
Are you going to continue having these meetups? Do you have any specific goals?
Yeah, I mean the goals would be to get a community together and about Ethereum and continue the progress. You know, it's a growing network, and you know, if we can get a group together and if there's more demand for meetups like this, then maybe in the future we can do hackathons and try to build applications together. Thanks.
How about the mining? Like,
okay.
This is a supercomputer.